Well, very good afternoon to you. This is Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station. Here's the news at 1 p.m. I'm Charity Jerome. First, the news headlines. Labour threatens to shut down economy over minimum wage. Oyo State government suspends monthly environmental sanitation indefinitely. On a foreign scene, China approves plan to control Hong Kong elections. And in sports, Jurgen Klopp says Liverpool not in a position to win Champions League. Details of these and more coming shortly. Workers under the aegis of Nigeria Labour Congress NLC and the Trade Union Congress TUC have threatened to shut down the economy if the House of Representatives passes a bill intended to move the minimum wage legislation from exclusive list to concurrent list. The bill, sponsored by Mr. Garba Dati Mohammed, scaled second reading at plenary of the House of Representatives, presided over by Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila, penultimate week. The lawmaker had argued that it was improper for the federal government to impose the 30,000 naira minimum wage on states whose means of income and resources differ. The national president of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Ms. Ayuba Waba, who led hundreds of members to the House of Representatives yesterday, vowed that the organized labour will resist the passage of the proposed legislation, saying the decision to vest in the federal government the power to fix minimum wage was in tandem with international best practices. Waba blamed bad governance for the problems associated with the non-implementation of the 30,000 naira minimum wage. Chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Abdul Rashid Bawa, says the commission has identified about 70 billion naira fraud perpetrated through the federal government's fuel subsidy program. He said only about 20 billion naira of the money had been recovered by the agency. Bawa said this while addressing reporters at the Ikeja High Court in Lagos after testifying in an alleged 1.4 billion naira fuel subsidy trial involving an oil firm, Nadabo Energy. The EFCC chairman expressed worry at the slow pace of some fuel subsidy trials and promised that the commission would continue to rigorously pursue all its cases in court. Bawa added that the EFCC was working to arrest an alleged fuel subsidy suspect, Sheun Ogunbambo, who was arraigned in 2012 but jumped bail and fled the country.
It is part of the several cases that we have charged in court in 2012 after we concluded investigation on petroleum subsidy fraud-related cases. As you are aware that even last week we secured conviction of Pago Petroleum Limited as being promoted by one Mr. Oluwasegun Ogunbambo. We have made a lot of recoveries from the petroleum subsidy cases. I think we have identified fraud of about 70 billion. And as at now, we have recovered over 20 billion from such, cases. But criminal trials, of course, is being dictated by the statutes, the procedural laws, the Evidence Act, etc. I myself, in this case, I have been in the witness box in the last 5 years. But the trial is ongoing, and I believe, justice will be served at the end of the trial.
To security matters now, Bayelsa State Government has signed the Livestock Breeding, Rearing and Marketing Regulation Law 2021 into law, prohibiting open grazing of livestock in the state. Governor Doyediri said the essence of the law was to ensure harmonious living between cattle breeders and other residents of the state and to forestall farmer-herder clashes being experienced in other parts of the country. He explained that the law stipulated that any herdsman found with arms, whether licensed or not, should be arrested. The governor added that the law also established a livestock management committee to regulate livestock activities in the state. Diri said by signing the law, any person found engaging in open grazing of livestock on foot would have committed an offense and would be arrested, prosecuted, while the livestock would be impounded. Well, still concerning security, the Nigeria Senate has called on the federal government to direct officials of the National Emergency Management Agency and the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs to bring back the people of Yewa in Ogun State who had relocated to the Republic of Benin following incessant herdsmen attack on their communities. The Red Chamber also mandated relevant security agencies to restore law and order in the troubled communities. These were parts of resolutions reached sequel to a point of order raised by Senator Tolulokwe Odebiyi, representing Ogun West. The lawmaker said if the situation is not urgently and properly attended to, it will undermine the country's international standing and cause an itch in Nigeria's relations with her neighbors.
That are providing intermediate aids for these displaced persons has had to issue out statements seeking assistance from well-meaning Nigerians for members of these affected communities. Disturbed that the state government alone cannot be left with the onerous task of resettling these displaced citizens. Hence, the need for support from the federal government to effectively return the affected citizens back to their various communities. Further disturbed that if the Benin Republic, that is a neighbor to Nigeria, could accommodate Nigerians in time of crisis, give them food and set up a refugee camp for them, Nigeria needs to positively step up on how we treat our citizens who are victims of an internally induced crisis. Concerned that if the nation is not urgently and properly attended to, it will undermine the country's international standing and credibility and cause an itch in our relations with our neighbor.
However, the upper chamber asked the concerned authorities to pursue and put in place necessary mechanisms for the reparation and relocation of the affected peoples and communities. The National Assembly has expressed its readiness to amend the Constitution to ensure gender parity and enact laws to improve the fortunes of women and girls in Nigeria. This was just as the Senate resolved to expunge provisions of the law as contained in the Police Act, Federal Character Law, Electoral Act, Labour Act, political parties' constitutions, which infringes on the rights of women in Nigeria. The decision was conveyed amidst resolutions reached during plenary yesterday when the upper chamber considered a motion on the 2021 International Women's Day celebration. Coming under Order 42 and 52 of the Senate Standing Rules, one of the sponsors of the bill, Senator Betty Apiafi, noted that gender parity is a statistical measure that compares women and men through their income, education, and work hours, among other points.
That are providing intermediate aids for these displaced persons has had to issue out statements seeking assistance from well-meaning Nigerians for members of these affected communities. Disturbed that the state government alone cannot be left with the onerous task of resettling these displaced citizens. Hence, the need for support from the federal government to effectively return the affected citizens back to their various communities. Further disturbed that if the Benin Republic, that is a neighbor to Nigeria, could accommodate Nigerians in time of crisis, give them food and set up a refugee camp for them, Nigeria needs to positively step up on how we treat our citizens who are victims of an internally induced crisis. Concerned that if the nation is not urgently and properly attended to, it will undermine the country's international standing and credibility and cause an itch in our relations with our neighbor.
Well, we apologize for the mix-up in the audio there. President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, in his remarks said that the provision of equal opportunities for women would, in the long run, be in the interest of Nigeria as a nation.
I believe that there's no deliberate way that men will ever do to undermine women. We came from mothers, we have daughters, we have wives, and I believe that we are together in this with our women. It's in the interest of our nation that we work together to give our women proper opportunities for them to also excel. And we must congratulate those that have already achieved so much in public space as well as in business. So with this, I want to thank everyone, and even though it's a bit late, 2 days after the 8th of March, but still, we congratulate Nigerian women, we congratulate the entire nation, and we believe that we have to do more to give our women more opportunities to serve.
And away from the Senate now, Oyo State government has announced the suspension of the monthly environmental sanitation and the restriction of movement. The Commissioner for Environment and Natural Resources, Dr. Idowu Oyeleke, said this in a statement yesterday. The state government urged residents of the state to ensure daily cleaning of the environment because sanitation exercise has now become an everyday activity. The Commissioner said residents of the state should ensure that their premises, surroundings, and drainage channels are always clean to prevent diseases and flooding. He stated that failure to comply with this directive will attract institution of environmental laws and sanctions against offenders. Well, still in Oyo State, the state government has approved the implementation of a mini-grid scheme for some rural communities in 4 local government areas of the state and not currently connected to the national grid. The Commissioner for Energy and Mineral Resources, Honorable Seun Ashamu, who disclosed this in a press briefing, said the project, estimated to cost 575 million naira, was part of resolutions reached at the last Executive Council meeting. The Commissioner also explained that the mini-grid scheme, which would be an independent power project center on decentralized renewable solutions, would be installed around healthcare centers or public schools to boost economic activities in rural communities.
The Executive Council of Oyo State approved for the implementation of our mini-grid scheme for rural communities that have economic activity but are not connected to the national grid. The first rollout comprises 4 local governments and communities, namely Ajia community in our local government, Otefon community in Atiba local government, Shamo community in Iwajiwa local government, and Orisumibari community in Ogumosho South local government area, for the total sum of around 575 million naira.
Also, a representative of government hinted on plans by the state government to procure aluminium sulfate with the approval of the State Executive Council for proper treatment of water distributed by the State Water Corporation to residents in the state. You're listening to the news at 1 p.m. on Splash 105.5 FM. Still ahead, China approves plan to control Hong Kong elections. And in sports, Jurgen Klopp says Liverpool not in a position to win Champions League. We'll take a short break now. When we come back, we'll bring you details of these and other stories. Please stay with us.
ọ̀rẹ́ mi àkànní owó kan ń bẹ lọ́wọ́ mi ó sì wù mí kí n fi dókòwò.
ṣé kí n mọ́ tàn bóròdì. Fresh Farms ní kó o bá dòwò pọ̀ ló bá kẹ́sọ̀rọ̀ ọ̀nù ilé lówó rẹ̀ ó bá máa ṣiṣẹ́ fún ọ.
ìgbà tó ti dé o fún gbogbo èèyàn ìgbélárugẹ iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ abisuta lóko abàgbàdo bọ̀kọ̀ àlọ́run ebè. Fresh Farms iléeṣẹ́ abánipilẹ̀ ọlà lẹ́ka ètò ọ̀gbìn ló ń ṣe bẹbẹ láti máa fi iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ pilẹ̀ ọlà fún gbogbo èèyàn nípa pípín èrè oko òòjọ́ Fresh Farms produce káàkiri orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà àti nípa ìbánidókòwò lẹ́ka ètò ọ̀gbìn tẹ́sí máa rèrè ní tabua ní ìlànà àròjẹ àti taládà ńlá ẹlẹ́dókòwò lórí ọ̀gbìn kaṣú gbàgùdá ata tòmátì àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ tẹ́sí tún lóore ọ̀fẹ́ láti máa tọpinpin èrè oko yín lórí ẹ̀rọ ayélujára àti lójúkorojú ìlànà ìgbàlódé tó wáyà ní Fresh Farms ti ṣàgbékalẹ̀ yìí o fún àlàyé kàn sí wọn lórí ẹ̀rọ ayélujára www.freshfarms.ng tàbí ká ẹ pè sórí ẹ̀rọ ìbáraẹnisọ̀rọ̀ yìí 09073612624 Fresh Farms pípín èrè oko òòjọ́ dìrọ̀rùn.
Hey, is your body yo-yo bitters compliant? What does that mean, you wonder? Well, it means do you take Yo-Yo Bitters every day? Yo-Yo Bitters protects you against opportunistic infections. This means you either take Yo-Yo Bitters as food supplement or as medicine recommended by your doctor. Yo-Yo Bitters is naturally enriched with ingredients that flushes out the body impurities, tackles waist pain, and resolves constipation. It is also fortified with vitamins that empower your body to perform at its optimum. Besides, Yo-Yo Bitters contain minerals and it boosts your body immunity. That's why Yo-Yo Bitters is such a great companion to have around the home, office, and everywhere. Available in liquid, gel, and tablets. Get yours today from the nearest pharmacy or medicine store. Yo-Yo Bitters, but clean inside out.
Babes, good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning, Ojere. See, now I'm just tired, my friend. I'm thinking of how we get to the market to buy food stuff and provision again. See, it's a big problem for me.
Are you really serious? Haven't you heard of Food Locker? A place where you can get all your food stuff and groceries affordably and without stress. In fact, you can sit at home, in your office, anywhere, and order everything you need at www.foodlocker.com.ng, and they will deliver right at your doorstep. They have yams, gari, meat, crayfish, oil, provisions, even pap kogi. Let me switch your belly safe. Their prices are so affordable and very comparable with market prices. You will even get farm fresh vegetables, chicken and fruits, and they also have continental products.
Please stop giving yourself problems. Just go to www.foodlocker.com.ng or download the Food Locker mobile app from Google Play Store and shop. They are headquartered in Ibadan and they deliver across many states. This is good news. Thank you very much, my friend. You are a lifesaver. www.foodlocker.com.ng is the answer.
For further details, call 0903 178 7037. Food Locker. All your food stuff and groceries in one place.
Well, thank you for staying with us here on the news at 1 p.m. on Splash 105.5 FM. Turning to the foreign scene now, China's legislature has approved a controversial resolution paving the way for Hong Kong's electoral system to be overhauled in its latest move that will tighten control over the city. The Patriots Governing Hong Kong resolution was passed at the National People's Congress today. It will reduce democratic representation and allow a pro-Beijing panel to vet patriotic candidates. Detailed legislation will now be drafted and could be enacted in Hong Kong within the next few months. Brazil has exceeded 2,000 COVID-19 related deaths in a single day for the first time as infection rates soar. The country has the second highest death toll in the world, behind the USA. President Jair Bolsonaro has downplayed the threat from the virus as he earlier this week told people to stop whining. The surge in cases has put health systems in most of Brazil's largest cities under immense pressure, with many close to collapse. Today marks the anniversary of a pandemic being declared by the World Health Organization. And now to some sports stories. Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp has admitted that they are not in a position where they can think about winning the Champions League yet. 2 goals from Mohamed Salah and Sadio Mane, who scored the 100th goal in Klopp's 44th match in charge of the Reds in the competition, secured a 4-0 aggregate win, which eased them into the quarterfinals for the third time in 4 years. Having won it in 2019 and reached the final the year before, they do have good form in the competition, but that is offset somewhat by the woeful season they are having as defending Premier League champions. And in tennis, Mari Osaka, the older sister of 4-time major winner Naomi Osaka, has retired from tennis at the age of 24. The older Osaka was ranked 340th in the world, having reached a career high of 280 in 2018 and last played a singles tournament in January. She partners in doubles with her sister Naomi, who is 18 months younger, ranked second in the world and the reigning US and Australian Open champion at the 2017 Torrey Pan-Pacific Open in Tokyo. Marie mainly played on the ITF Pro Circuit before she joined her sister in the WTA main draw at the Miami Open in 2019. Well, just before we go, here's a quick recap of the major headlines. Labour unions have threatened to shut down economy over minimum wage. Oyo State government has suspended monthly environmental sanitation indefinitely. On the foreign scene, we told you that China has approved a plan to control Hong Kong's election. And in sports, Jurgen Klopp has said Liverpool not in a position to win Champions League. For more details on the news, you can visit our website on www.splashfm1055.com. Now you can download the Splash FM mobile app on iOS, BlackBerry World, and Google Play Store to listen live, get news updates, and opinion poll. You can also report an event live to us through the iReports feature. To download, simply go to any of the stores mentioned and search for Splash FM 105.5 and then click to download. We now have come to the end of the news on Splash 105.5 FM, the integrity station and the best radio station in the southwest of the country. The news editor is Tunde Olawuwo, assisted by Ayo Olubusi. I am Charity Jerome. Good afternoon and thank you for listening.